Ambassador David Chen stood in the center of the Galactic Council chamber and felt very small. The room was massive, built for beings much larger than humans. Around him, 47 different alien species sat in their designated seats, arranged in a perfect circle. Some had multiple eyes. Others had tentacles instead of arms. A few floated in tanks of liquid. All of them were staring at him. Chen straightened his suit and cleared his throat. The translator device in his ear hummed softly, ready to convert his words into thousands of alien languages at once. "Honored council members," he began, "I come before you today to formally request Earth's acceptance into the Galactic Council. Humanity has prepared for this moment since our first contact 2 years ago. We have much to offer the galactic community." A sound like grinding rocks echoed through the chamber. It took Chen a moment to realize it was laughter. The Kralix delegate, a creature that looked like a walking mountain of gray stone, had made the noise. "Much to offer?" the Kralix rumbled. His voice was so deep that Chen felt it in his chest. "We have reviewed your species file, human. You are classified as Category 4. Do you understand what that means?" Chen kept his face calm, but his hands tightened into fists behind his back. "I understand the classification system, yes." "Then you understand that you are among the weakest species ever discovered," another voice said. This one belonged to a Xinthian, a tall insect-like being with 4 arms and shimmering purple skin. "Your bodies are fragile. You have no natural armor, no venom, no telepathic abilities. You cannot even see in multiple spectrums. Your lifespans are embarrassingly short," added a mind, one of the telepathic species that appeared as floating brains encased in crystalline shells. "Barely a century if you're lucky. How can you contribute to projects that take millennia?" Chen took a deep breath. "With respect, Council members, humanity has achieved remarkable things despite our physical limitations. We have explored our entire solar system. We have created art, music, and literature that spans thousands of years. We have survived ice ages, plagues, and wars. We have wars!" The Kralix delegate slammed a massive fist onto his console. "Yes, we have reviewed your history, human. You wage war against your own kind. You poison your own planet. You create weapons designed specifically to kill each other. What civilization does such things?" Chen felt heat rising to his face. "We have made mistakes, yes, but we have learned from them. We have united our world. We have left those dark days behind us." A small floating creature that looked like a jellyfish with too many eyes drifted forward. Its voice was soft but carried throughout the chamber. "Your technology is also primitive. Your fastest ships barely reach 0.2 light speed. Our slowest cargo vessels move faster than that. You have no quantum computing, no matter manipulation, no dimensional folding." "We are still developing," Chen protested. "We are young by galactic standards." "Give us time and we will—" "Time?" The mind's voice cut through his words like a knife. "You ask for time when you barely have any? Human, your species has existed for what, 200,000 years? The youngest species in this council has existed for 3 million. You are infants playing with toys." Chen looked around the chamber. Not a single face showed sympathy. Some looked bored. Others looked disgusted. A few seemed amused, as if watching a child try to join a conversation between adults. "Perhaps," Chen said slowly, choosing his words carefully. "Humanity's youth is an advantage. We bring fresh perspectives. New ideas, different ways of thinking." "Different?" The Xinthian clicked its mandibles together in what might have been another laugh. "You mean primitive? Your science is based on trial and error rather than pure mathematical certainty. Your decision-making is driven by emotion rather than logic. You even eat other living creatures for sustenance. It is barbaric. Many species eat other living things," Chen pointed out. "Predator species, yes," the Kralix said. "But you were also prey, were you not? Your own planet tried to kill you at every turn. You developed fear responses, stress hormones, fight-or-flight reflexes. These are signs of a species that barely survived its own evolution, and now you want to sit among the stars' greatest civilizations?" Chen felt his last hope slipping away. He had come here with optimism, with pride in what humanity had accomplished. Now he just felt tired. The weight of 6 months of preparation, of traveling across light years to reach this place, of representing his entire species pressed down on him. "What are you offering us?" he asked quietly. The council members looked at each other. Finally, the mind spoke. "We will grant you observer status. You may watch our proceedings. You may trade with approved species under strict guidelines. You may visit designated worlds. But you will have no vote. No voice indecisions, no access to advanced technologies, no military cooperation. You will be essentially children watching the adults work. For how long? Until you prove yourselves worthy. Perhaps in a few thousand years we will revisit this discussion. Chen felt something cold settle in his stomach. A few thousand years? Generations of humans would live and die before Earth had a real place in the galaxy. But what choice did he have? To refuse would mean complete isolation. At least observer status was something. I accept, he said. On behalf of Earth and humanity, I accept observer status. Very well. The Kralik sounded almost disappointed, as if he had hoped Chen would argue more so he could be refused entirely. You will receive the documentation. Your ship may remain in orbit for 72 hours before you must depart. Council business is concluded. The lights in the chamber brightened, signaling the end of the session. Around him, the various species began to leave, floating or walking or slithering toward the exits. Not one of them looked at Chen as they passed. He stood alone in the center of the chamber for a long moment. Then he turned and walked back to his shuttle. The pilot, a young woman named Martinez, looked at him hopefully as he entered.
How did it go, sir?
Chen slumped into his seat. We got observer status. Oh, her face fell. I see. They sat in silence as the shuttle lifted off and headed back toward Earth's orbital station. Below them, the Council's homeworld sparkled with lights from 1,000 different species living together. Chen wondered if humans would ever truly be part of that. Sir, Martinez said after a while. What do we do now? Chen looked out at the stars. We do what humans always do. We keep working. We keep learning. We keep trying. Maybe they think we're weak. Maybe they think we're primitive. But we'll show them, somehow. He did not know how prophetic those words would be. None of them did. Not yet. The universe had a lesson waiting for the Galactic Council. And humanity, the species they had dismissed as weak and insignificant, would be the ones to teach it. But that lesson was still months away. For now, Chen could only watch the stars and hope that one day, humanity would find its place among them. A real place. Not as observers, but as equals. The shuttle jumped to light speed, carrying him home with news that would disappoint billions. But it would not break them. Humanity had faced rejection before. They had faced extinction, starvation, and countless other threats throughout their history. They had always survived. They had always adapted. They had always found a way forward. This time would be no different. 18 months had passed since humanity received its humiliating observer status. In that time, Earth had quietly continued its work. Scientists improved their engines. Engineers designed better ships. Diplomats maintained polite relationships with the few alien species willing to trade with them. Life went on. Ambassador Chen was reviewing trade agreements in his small office on the Council's outer station when the alarms began. Red lights flashed throughout the corridor. His translator device crackled with dozens of panicked voices at once. All Council members report immediately, a mechanical voice announced. Emergency session. Priority Alpha. All Council members report immediately. Chen stood up, confused. Emergency sessions were rare. Priority Alpha meant something catastrophic. But observer status did not grant him access to emergency sessions. He was about to sit back down when his communication panel lit up. Ambassador Chen. The voice belonged to the Council Secretary, a Vorlon who had always been coldly professional with him. Now the alien sounded frightened. Your presence is requested. Please come to the chamber immediately. Chen ran. Something was very wrong. The Council chamber was chaos when he arrived. Species that normally maintained perfect diplomatic composure were shouting at each other. Screens around the room displayed images of destruction. Chen's blood ran cold as he watched. Cities burning. Ships exploding. Entire planets going dark. Order! The Kralik's delegate's voice boomed over the noise. We must have order. Slowly the chamber quieted. Chen found a spot along the wall, trying to stay out of the way. He noticed that several council seats were empty. The delegates from those worlds had not arrived. Perhaps they could not. For those who have not yet been briefed, the mind began, its crystalline shell pulsing with agitated colors. We are facing an existential threat. 6 days ago, a previously unknown species emerged from dark space in the outer rim. They call themselves Nothing. We have named them the Devourers. A new image appeared on the screens. Chen felt his stomach turn. The creatures looked wrong somehow. They were insectoid, but also mechanical, biological, but also crystalline. They seemed to shift and change even as he watched. They are a hive mind, the mind continued. A single consciousness controlling billions of bodies. They consume everything. Organic matter, minerals, even the atmospheres of planets. They leave nothing behind but empty husks. How many worlds? Someone asked. 3 colony worlds completely consumed. 5 more under attack. 7 battle fleets destroyed or scattered. Casualties in the billions. The mind's voice was flat, but Chen could hear the fear underneath. And they are adapting. Adapting? Chen heard himself ask. Every eye in the chamber turned to him. He shrank back against the wall, but the Kralix gestured for him to continue. What do you mean, adapting? The Xinthian delegate stood, its forearms trembling. We mean exactly that, human. When we first encountered them, we used standard battle tactics. Formation Beta 7, which has won countless engagements across millennia. We destroyed 70% of their forces in the first engagement. That seems good, Chen said carefully. It was, for exactly 3 hours. Then we engaged them again with the same tactics. This time we destroyed only 40%. Third engagement, 20%. Fourth engagement, the Xinthians' mandibles clicked rapidly. They destroyed us completely. They had learned our tactics, predicted our movements, countered our weapons. All in less than a standard day. The minds attempted telepathic warfare, the floating brain added. We can usually paralyze entire armies by overwhelming their neural networks. Against the Devourers, we achieved nothing. Their hive mind is too distributed. Attacking one node means nothing when a billion others continue functioning. The Vorlon use temporal displacement weapons, another delegate said. Weapons that can age a ship 1,000 years in seconds. The Devourers adapted. Now they seem resistant to temporal effects. Gravitational weapons, quantum disruptors, biological plagues, nanotech swarms. The Kralix listed them one by one. Everything we have tried, they adapt to within hours. It is as if they are learning from a single shared experience. Because they are, Chen's mind raced. A hive mind that could share information instantly across billions of bodies. That could learn and adapt in real time. It was the ultimate evolutionary advantage. No wonder the council was panicking. How long do we have? Chen asked. The mind's colors shifted to deep purple, the color of morning. At their current rate of expansion? 6 months until they reach the core worlds. 12 months until the council falls completely. We are trying to evacuate civilians, but there are trillions of people across hundreds of worlds. We cannot save them all. The chamber fell silent. Chen looked around at the greatest civilizations in the galaxy, species that had existed for millions of years, beings with technology that humans could barely understand. And they were helpless. Why am I here? Chen asked quietly. The Kralix looked at him with eyes that held no mockery now, only desperation. Because we are out of options, human. We have tried everything. Our greatest tactical minds, our most powerful weapons, our most advanced technologies. Nothing works. So we are asking everyone, even observer species, do you have any military resources you could contribute? Any weapons or ships or ideas that might help? Chen almost laughed. Him? Humanity? The species they had dismissed as weak and primitive? They were asking humans for military help? But he did not laugh, because he saw the fear in the Kralix's eyes. These aliens were facing extinction, and they had nowhere else to turn. I need to contact Earth, Chen said. I need authorization from our government. You have it, the mind said immediately. We are granting you emergency communication access. Please hurry. Chen was escorted to a private communication room. His hands shook as he activated the quantum link to Earth. It took several minutes for the connection to establish. Then President Okafor appeared on the screen, her dark face creased with concern. Chen explained everything as quickly as he could. The Devourers, the attacks, the adaptation, the Council's desperation. When he finished, Okafor was quiet for a long moment. They want our help, she finally said. It was not a question. Yes, Madam President. The same council that called us weak, primitive, that gave us observer status and told us to watch and learn? Yes. Okafor leaned back in her chair. Chen knew what she was thinking. Part of him wanted her to refuse. To tell the council they could solve their own problems. To let them feel what it was like to be dismissed and underestimated. But that was not who humans were. That was not who they had ever been. How many people are dying? Okafor asked. Billions, Madam President. And more every day. Then we help. Her voice was firm. We help because it is the right thing to do. We help because innocent people are dying. We help because that is what humanity does. We help. Chen felt something tight in his chest loosen. Yes, Madam President. Tell the Council we will send what we can. It will not be much. Our weapons are primitive by their standards. Our ships are slow. Our soldiers are fragile, but we will send them anyway. She paused and a small smile crossed her face. And Chen? Tell them we have been fighting wars for our entire existence. Maybe we learned a few things along the way. The communication ended. Chen returned to the council chamber where hundreds of alien eyes fixed on him immediately. Earth's answer? The Kralix asked. Chen stood straight. Humanity will send military support. Our fleet will deploy within 48 hours. Relief flooded through the chamber. Chen did not tell them what Okafor had said about humanity's experience with war. Let them think humans were just being charitable. Let them think human weapons would be useless. They would learn the truth soon enough. The Council had dismissed humanity as weak and primitive. They had underestimated the species that had spent its entire existence fighting for survival. That was a mistake they would never make again. The human fleet arrived at Sigma 7 3 days after the Council's desperate call. 23 ships in total. By galactic standards, it was nothing. The Council had fleets of thousands. Individual species could field hundreds of vessels in a single battle group. 23 human ships seemed like a cruel joke. Admiral Tiskavar of the Kralix military watched them approach on his displays. The ships were boxy and awkward-looking. Their hulls were covered in strange protrusions and asymmetric designs. They moved slowly, their primitive engines pushing them through space like insects swimming through honey. "This is what the humans send?" his tactical officer asked, mandibles clicking with disappointment. These look like cargo haulers. They are all Earth has, Tiskavar said. He tried to keep the disgust from his voice. He had argued against bringing humans into this fight. They would just die uselessly. But the Council had insisted. Every species must contribute. Open a channel. The main screen changed to show a human in a dark blue uniform. She was small, with black hair tied back severely and eyes that seemed too calm for someone entering a war zone. The nameplate on her uniform read, Commander Sarah Park. "This is Commander Park of the Earth Defense Fleet," she said. Her voice was crisp and professional. "Reporting as requested. Where do you need us, Admiral?" Skavar gestured to his tactical display. "The Devourers are attacking the civilian station at Sigma 7. We have defensive positions here, here, and here." He pointed to the 3 major choke points. "You will take up support positions behind the main fleet. Focus on protecting damaged ships and covering retreats. Do not engage the Devourers directly. Your vessels are not equipped for frontline combat." Park's expression did not change. "Understood. We will take position." "Commander," Skavar added, "I must emphasize, do not engage directly. The Devourers will adapt to your weapons within minutes. If you attack, you will only teach them how to kill you. Stay back, protect the wounded. That is how you can help." "Understood," Park repeated. The screen went dark. Skavar turned back to his own tactical display. The human ships moved into their assigned positions, spreading out behind the main battle line. At least they followed orders. "That was something." "Sir," his sensor officer called out. "Devourer fleet inbound. Estimated time to engagement 4 minutes. All ships to battle stations. Formation Delta 9. All weapons hot." The Council fleet moved into position. Skavar had 57 capital ships, 200 frigates, and countless support vessels. It was one of the largest fleets ever assembled. Against the Devourers, he knew it might not be enough. The enemy appeared on sensors like a spreading stain. Thousands of ships, if they could be called ships. They were organic and mechanical at once, pulsing with sickly bioluminescence. They did not move in formation. They flowed like a single organism extending pseudopods toward its prey. Fire at will. The space between the fleets erupted with weapons fire. Energy beams, kinetic rounds, plasma torpedoes. The Council's opening salvo had been carefully calculated for maximum efficiency. It destroyed hundreds of Devourer vessels in the first seconds. Then the Devourers adapted. Their ships began shifting, reorganizing, presenting different armor configurations. The same weapons that had been devastating now did half the damage. Then a quarter. Then almost nothing. "They are learning," the tactical officer shouted. "Adjusting targeting parameters." But it was too late. The Devourers crashed into the Council lines like a wave. Ships exploded. Hulls were breached. Tiskavar watched his carefully planned formation dissolve into chaos. All ships fall back to secondary positions. Reform it. His orders were cut off as 3 Devourer vessels rammed into his flagship's shields. The ship rocked violently. Warning lights flashed across every console, shields at 40%. Hull breaches on decks 7 through 12. We have lost the port weapons array. Tskavar's mind raced. They were losing. Just like every other battle. The Devourers adapted too fast. Learned too quickly. There was no way to. Sir, the human ships are breaking formation. Tskavar looked at his display in horror. The human vessels were accelerating, moving out from their safe positions and heading directly into the battle. What are they doing? I ordered them to stay back. He opened a channel. Commander Park, return to your position immediately. You are not cleared to... With respect, Admiral. Park's voice cut through, still calm. Your current tactics are not working. We are going to try something different. You will die. Maybe, but we will make it count. The channel closed. Tskavar could only watch as the 23 human ships plunged into the battle. What happened next defied everything Tskavar knew about space combat. The humans did not fight like the Council. They did not use efficient formations or calculated firing patterns. Instead, they seemed to fight like madmen. One human destroyer accelerated at full speed toward a cluster of Devourer ships, fired all its weapons at once, then veered away at the last second. The Devourers moved to intercept, predicting the ship's trajectory. But the ship did not follow its predicted course. It spun, flipped, and dove in a completely different direction. The Devourers crashed into each other instead. Another human vessel limped forward, trailing atmosphere and sparks, looking critically damaged. Devourer ships moved in to finish it off. At the last moment, the damaged ship shed its fake debris, revealing fully charged weapons. It fired point-blank into the surrounding enemies, destroying 6 ships before retreating. A human frigate began flying in erratic patterns, seemingly random. But Tskavar realized the patterns were not random at all. They were unpredictable. The ship would accelerate, then suddenly decelerate. Turn left, then immediately turn right. Climb, dive, spin. The Devourers could not predict its movements because there was no logic to predict. It was chaos. Controlled chaos. What are they doing? His tactical officer whispered. Tskavar suddenly understood. They are lying. They are deceiving. They are doing things that make no sense. That is insane. Yes, Tskavar said slowly. And the Devourers cannot adapt to insanity. The hive mind learned by pattern recognition. It analyzed tactics, predicted behaviors, adapted countermeasures, but the humans were not following tactics. They were improvising, making decisions that seemed illogical, sacrificing efficiency for unpredictability, and it was working. A human cargo hauler modified with weapons it was never designed to carry, accelerated directly toward a Devourer capital ship. Suicide run, Tskavar thought. The Devourers thought so too. They moved to intercept, but the hauler suddenly opened its cargo bay. Hundreds of empty fuel drums tumbled out, each one rigged with explosives. The Devourers, expecting a ramming attack, flew directly into the cloud of improvised mines. The explosion was spectacular. All Council ships, Park's voice came over the general channel. Listen carefully. Stop fighting smart. Start fighting dirty. Fake retreats. False signals. Make them think you are doing one thing, then do something else. Lie to them. Confuse them. Make them guess. Tskavar made a split-second decision. All ships, you heard the human commander. Break standard protocols. Tactical freedom granted to all captains. Fight unpredictably. It went against every military principle he had ever learned. But he was desperate. The Council ships began to change their tactics. A Zynthian cruiser broadcast a false distress signal, luring Devourer vessels into an ambush. A Vorlon destroyer used quantum uncertainty to make its position impossible to predict accurately. A Kralix battleship jettisoned half its armor to gain speed, then used that speed to ram through enemy formations. The Devourers tried to adapt. But how do you adapt to tactics that have no pattern? How do you predict enemies who are actively trying to be unpredictable? The tide of the battle began to turn. Human ships were taking terrible damage. Tskavar watched 3 of them explode within minutes, but the rest kept fighting, kept improvising, kept doing things that should not work but somehow did. One human ship, already doomed with its reactor going critical, turned directly toward the largest concentration of Devourer vessels. Park's voice came over the channel one last time from that ship. "This is Captain Rodriguez. To any humans listening, we go out fighting. Tell Earth we did our duty." The ship exploded in the middle of the Devourer formation, taking 17 enemy vessels with it. Skavar felt something strange in his chest. These humans, these fragile beings that the Council had mocked, were dying, sacrificing themselves willingly, not for their own world, but for aliens who had scorned them. "All ships focus fire on that cluster," he ordered, his voice rough. "We will not let the humans die alone." The battle raged for 6 more hours. When it finally ended, the Devourers retreated. For the first time since the war began, they retreated. Skavar looked at his casualty reports. The human fleet had started with 23 ships. Only 14 remained. The victory at Sigma 7 changed everything. Within days, human ships were being requested at every major battle. Not just as support, but as tactical advisors. Council captains who had once looked down on humanity now asked for human officers to be assigned to their bridges. The word spread quickly. The humans knew how to fight the Devourers. Dr. Ilara, a mind scientist, had been assigned to study the human military methods. She floated in her crystalline shell on the bridge of a human carrier, watching everything with fascination and growing horror. "Explain this to me again," she said to Lieutenant Marcus Webb, a young human tactical officer. "You are intentionally making your battle plans less efficient?" Webb nodded, looking up from his console. "Yes, ma'am. If we optimize too much, we become predictable. The Devourers learn patterns. So we build in imperfection, randomness. We make mistakes on purpose. But that means you lose ships you could have saved. People die who should have lived." "Yes." Webb's face was grim. "War's not clean, Doctor. We learned that a long time ago." Ilara pulsed a deep blue, the color of confusion. "How long has your species been fighting wars?" "All of it," Webb said quietly. "Our entire history. We have been killing each other since before we could make metal weapons. Sticks and stones at first. Then bronze, iron, steel. Bullets, bombs, missiles. We fought over land, resources, religion, ideology. Sometimes we fought just because we did not like each other." "That is horrifying." "It is," Webb agreed. "But it taught us things. How to think tactically. How to deceive. How to keep fighting even when everything seems lost. We call it the art of war. Because for us, war is not just combat. It is psychology, economics, logistics, propaganda. It is everything." Ilara began recording everything. Her report was sent to the Council 3 days later. Within hours, it had been distributed to every member species. The title was simple: "Why Humans Win." The report was shocking. Humans, Ilara explained, were persistence predators. On Earth, they had hunted animals by chasing them until the prey collapsed from exhaustion. Humans were not the fastest or the strongest or the smartest, but they never stopped. They never gave up. That mentality had carried into every aspect of their existence. Human psychology was fundamentally different from other species. Their brains were wired for pattern recognition, but also for breaking patterns. They could think logically, but also creatively. They could plan carefully, but also improvise instantly. They held contradictory ideas simultaneously and called it thinking outside the box. Most importantly, humans had evolved in an environment of constant scarcity and danger. They had developed the ability to make something from nothing, to see possibilities where others saw only obstacles. They called it improvisation. The report included examples. In the Battle of Theta Ridge, a human engineer named Lieutenant Gabriela Diaz had jury-rigged a Vorlon temporal weapon to fire backwards through time by exactly 3 seconds. It should not have worked. The math said it was impossible. But Diaz had ignored the math and rewired the weapon anyway. The result was devastating. Devourer ships found themselves being hit by weapons fire before the weapons were even fired. It broke their predictive algorithms completely. At the defense of New Vorma, human Marines had introduced something they called combined arms tactics. Instead of each species fighting separately with their own methods, humans organized mixed teams. A Kralix's heavy armor, a Zynthian's speed, a human's tactical thinking, and a Vorlon's technology. The whole became greater than the sum of its parts. At the siege of Epsilon Station, a human commander named Colonel James Martinez had done something unprecedented. He had surrendered. The Devourers had surrounded his position with overwhelming force. Any logical analysis said he should fight to the death. Instead, Martinez broadcast a surrender and ordered his ships to power down. The Devourers had no concept of surrender. They approached to consume the defenseless ships. At the last moment, Martinez's ships powered up simultaneously and fired at point-blank range. It was a trick, a lie. The Devourers lost an entire attack wave because they had trusted the human surrender. The Council was appalled. "You dishonored yourself," a Xinthian admiral had told Martinez afterward. "You lied under a flag of truce." "I saved 8,000 lives," Martinez had replied. "Honor is for peacetime. War is for winning." That philosophy spread through the Council military like wildfire. Some species embraced it, others struggled with it. But they all recognized its effectiveness. 3 weeks into the war, the Council held an emergency strategic session. Ambassador Chen was invited. Actually invited this time, not just tolerated. Admiral Tiskavar stood at the center of the chamber, looking older and more tired than Chen remembered. "The situation is dire but improving," the Kralik said. "The Devourers have taken 17 worlds, but they have lost ground at 32 others. Human tactics have given us hope. At what cost?" a Mind representative asked. The question was quiet but sharp. Skavar's expression darkened. "Human casualties are severe. Of the 73 human ships deployed, 21 have been destroyed. 47 others are damaged. Human troops make up 3% of our forces but account for 18% of casualties." The chamber fell silent. Chen felt that familiar cold weight in his chest. 18%. Thousands of humans dead. Tens of thousands injured. Why? The Mind asked. Why do they accept such losses? Chen stood up. All eyes turned to him. "Because someone has to," he said simply. "Because people are dying. Because it is the right thing to do." "But you gain nothing from this," a Xinthian delegate protested. "Even if we win, you remain observer status. No voting rights. No advanced technology. You sacrifice everything for a galaxy that rejected you." Chen smiled sadly. "You still do not understand us, do you? We are not helping you to gain status. We are helping because people need help. That is what humans do. We see someone drowning, we jump in to save them. Even if the water is dangerous. Even if we might drown too. Because the alternative is to watch someone die when we could have done something. That is illogical," the Mind said. "Yes," Chen agreed. "It is completely illogical, but it is also completely human." Park's voice suddenly echoed through the chamber via communication link. "All ships we have incoming. De vous main fleet. This is going to be big." Skavar rushed to the tactical display. Chen followed. The screen showed a nightmare. Thousands upon thousands of Devourer ships all converging on a single point. The civilian world of Harmony, home to over 9 billion beings from 30 different species. "We cannot defend that," someone whispered. "There are too many. We have to try it," Skavar said. But even he sounded defeated. "No." Park's voice was firm. "We need volunteers. I am taking a task force directly to the Devourer's central nexus. We have located it. If we can destroy their command node, the hive mind might collapse." "That is suicide," Skavar said flatly. "The nexus is protected by their entire fleet." "I know. That is why I said volunteers only." Chen felt his breath catch. This was it. The moment that would define humanity's place in the galaxy. Not through politics or diplomacy or trade agreements, but through sacrifice. "I will go," Skavar said suddenly. Every eye turned to him in shock. "My flagship will join the human task force. As will mine," a Xinthian captain said. "And mine," added a Vorlon. One by one, voices joined in. Species that had fought separately for weeks suddenly stood together, united not by strategy or tactics but by something else. Something the humans had taught them. Courage, sacrifice, the willingness to stand and fight even when logic said you should run. Park's voice came back, and Chen could hear the smile in it. "Welcome aboard. All volunteers form up at coordinate 779. We launch in 1 hour." She paused. "This might be a one-way trip. But if we succeed, we save billions. Seems like a fair trade to me." Chen looked at the display showing the volunteer ships gathering. Humans had started with 23 vessels. Now over 300 ships from dozens of species were volunteering to follow them into almost certain death. The Council was learning. But the lesson was not yet complete. The volunteer fleet gathered at the edge of Devourer space. 317 ships, representing 42 different species. the largest cooperative military force ever assembled, and they were about to fly directly into hell. Commander Park stood on the bridge of her flagship looking at the tactical display. The Devourer Nexus pulsed at the center of enemy territory, protected by thousands of hostile vessels. Getting there would be nearly impossible. Getting out would be completely impossible. All ships, she said quietly into the communication channel. I want to be clear about what we are doing. This is a suicide mission. I will not sugarcoat it. Most of us will not come back. Maybe none of us will come back. If anyone wants to withdraw, now is the time. No one will think less of you. Silence filled the channel. Then Admiral Tiskovar's deep voice rumbled through. We are not leaving, Commander. We go together. Together, other voices echoed. Human, Kralik, Xynthian, Vorlon, Mind. Dozens of languages all saying the same thing. Park felt her throat tighten. Then let us make this count. All ships execute jump in 3, 2, 1, mark. Space twisted. The fleet appeared deep in Devourer territory. Alarms immediately screamed across every ship. Enemy contacts flooded their sensors. Thousands of them, all powered to forward shields. Park shouted. Weapons free. Execute Plan Chaos. Plan Chaos had been developed by human strategists over the past 3 weeks. It had no formal structure, no predictable patterns. Each ship captain had complete freedom to improvise. The only rule was simple: cause as much confusion as possible. The Devourers swarmed toward them. Park's ship spun and dove, firing in all directions. A Kralik's battleship flew straight into the enemy formation, then detonated its reactor. The explosion cleared a path through the Devourer lines. Xynthian frigates flew in erratic patterns impossible to track or predict. Vorlon ships phased in and out of normal space, appearing randomly to fire before vanishing again. This is insane, Park's tactical officer shouted over the chaos of alarms and explosions. We are flying blind. Exactly. Park grinned despite the terror churning in her stomach. So are they. Keep moving! Do not let them predict us. The fleet cut through the Devourer forces like a knife through water, not because they were stronger or faster, but because they were unpredictable. The hive mind could not adapt to chaos that had no pattern. But they were paying for every meter of space in blood. Park watched ships explode on her display. A Xynthian cruiser, 2 human destroyers, a Vorlon science vessel. Names and faces flashed through her mind. People she had trained with. Fought beside friends, Nexus in range. Her sensor officer called out. Distance 50,000 kilometers. Park looked at the display. The Nexus was massive. A structure that seemed to be part ship, part station, part living organism. It pulsed with bioluminescence, coordinating the entire Devourer fleet through quantum entanglement. Destroy it and the hive mind would fragment. The Devourers would become individual ships again, capable of being defeated. But getting to it meant going through another wall of enemy vessels. All ships, full assault, Park ordered. Everything we have, now. The volunteer fleet charged. It was beautiful and terrible at once. Ships from dozens of species fighting as one. Humans and Kraliks fighting side by side. Xynthians and Vorlons coordinating attacks. The mind scientists had even figured out how to link their telepathy with human tactical intuition, creating something entirely new. The final battle lasted 17 minutes. 17 minutes of pure, concentrated violence. Park's ship shook with each hit, armor peeling away, systems failing one by one. But they kept pushing forward. We are through, someone shouted. Clear path to the Nexus. Park looked at her remaining ships. Less than 100 now. Maybe only 90. So many lost. But they were close. So close. All ships with heavy weapons target the Nexus core. All other ships provide cover. This is what we came for. The combined fire from 90 ships concentrated on a single point. Human kinetic weapons, Kralik's energy beams, Xynthian plasma, Vorlon temporal distortions. All hitting the same spot, the Nexus shuddered. Cracks spread across its surface. The bioluminescence flickered. It is working. Tiskovar's voice roared over the channel. Keep firing! Park's ship took a direct hit. The bridge went dark except for emergency lighting. Sparks flew from damaged consoles. Her tactical officer was down, blood streaming from a head wound. Damage report. Park shouted. Shields gone! Main weapons offline. Hull breaches on all decks. Reactor critical. Park looked at the Nexus. It was cracking, failing, dying, but it was not dead yet. If they stopped now, it might repair itself. Everything they had sacrificed would be for nothing. She made her decision in less than a second. All hands abandon ship, Park said calmly. Get to the escape pods now, Commander. Her pilot turned to stare at her. What about you? I am staying. Someone needs to make sure this ship hits its target. Park smiled at him. That is an order, Lieutenant. Go. Sir, go. The bridge emptied. Park was alone. She took manual control of the ship, pointing it directly at the Nexus core. The reactor was already critical. She just needed to make sure it reached the target before it exploded. This is Commander Sarah Park, she said into the open channel. Her voice was steady, calm. It has been an honor serving with you all. Tell Earth. Tell them we did our duty. Tell them we did not waste the chance they gave us. Tell them. The channel filled with voices, hundreds of them, human and alien alike. We will tell them you were heroes, Tekvar said, his voice thick with emotion. We will tell them you saved the galaxy. We will tell them that when the Council needed hope, humanity provided it. When we needed courage, you gave yours. When we needed someone to stand up and fight, you stood first. Park felt tears streaming down her face. Thank you, she whispered. For everything. Her ship struck the Nexus core at full speed. The reactor detonated. The explosion was bright enough to be seen from 100 light-years away. The Nexus shattered. Across the entire battle space, the Devourers suddenly stopped moving in coordination. They became individuals, confused, directionless, vulnerable. The Council forces, following behind the volunteer fleet, swept through the disorganized Devourers. Without their hive mind, they were easy prey. Within hours, the threat was eliminated. Within days, scattered Devourer remnants across the galaxy were being hunted down. The war was over. They had won. But the cost. 6 months later, Ambassador Chen stood in the council chamber once again. But this time it was different. Every seat was filled. Every delegate stood in respect as he entered. The Kralix delegate, Admiral Tiskavar himself now, stepped forward. His eyes met Chen's, and the human saw something there he had never expected. Respect and sorrow. Ambassador Chen, Tiskavar began, his voice carrying through the chamber. We asked you to come here today not to vote on humanity's status. That vote is unnecessary. We came to ask for your forgiveness, Chen blinked. Forgiveness? We underestimated you, a mind said, its crystalline shell pulsing with shame colors. We called you weak. We called you primitive. We dismissed you as children playing at civilization. We were wrong, Azinthian added. So terribly wrong, Skavar continued. When we faced extinction, you did not turn away. When we asked for help from those we had scorned, you came anyway. You taught us what courage truly means, what sacrifice means, what it means to never give up, even when all hope seems lost. 40% of your fleet died in this war, the mind said quietly. 40%. No other species came close to that casualty rate, yet you never complained, never asked for special treatment, never demanded anything in return. We are offering you full council membership, Skavar said. But more than that, we are designating humanity as a vanguard species. When threats emerge, humans will be first responders, not because we see you as expendable, but because we now understand you are irreplaceable. Chen felt his eyes burning. We did not do this for recognition, he said quietly. We did it because it was right. We know, Tiskavar said. That is why you deserve recognition. That is why we need you. Your concepts have spread throughout the galaxy, Avorlon added. Never give up. Improvise, adapt, overcome. No one left behind. These are human ideas, and they have changed us, made us better. Chen looked around the chamber, at the faces of beings from 100 worlds. He thought of Park, Rodriguez, and all the others who would never see this moment. We accept, he said. On behalf of humanity, we accept. But we also ask something. Anything, Skavar said immediately. Remember them. Remember the ones who died. Build monuments. Tell their stories. Let the galaxy know their names. We will, Skavar promised. Already there are statues being built on every council world. Already children are learning about Commander Park's sacrifice, about Lieutenant Diaz's ingenuity, about Captain Rodriguez's courage. They will never be forgotten. Chen nodded, unable to speak. Later, standing at the observation deck looking at Earth from the council station, Chen allowed himself to smile. Humanity had not joined the galactic community by being perfect. They had joined by being perfectly human, flawed, emotional, stubborn, creative, brave, and absolutely refusing to give up. The galaxy had finally understood.